She's over here. Okay, so Laura, just wave your hand. There you go. There's Laura. This pole is blocking you. So, two things. Laura is running for the chairship of the Virginia Beach Republican Party. That election is coming up this Saturday, and it's going to be at the Central Library on Virginia Beach Boulevard between 12 and 3. Any registered voter can show up and vote for Laura Hughes this Saturday between 12 and 3. It's a party-run canvass at the Central Library in Virginia Beach. Not only do I need every Virginia Beach registered voter to show up, but I need you to bring a friend. So let's help Laura take back the Virginia Beach Republican Party. Laura is also running for our state central seat. So for those of you that are not familiar with how the party apparatus runs, you have your unit chairs, which of course is Virginia Beach and all the other localities have a unit chair, but you have district reps. And so there's a district chairman, and then on State Central, there are 3 elected State Central seats. 3. Laura has also signed up to represent us in the Virginia Beach area on State Central from the 2nd Congressional District. So that election is April 27th. There is a specific format for that, so you have to fill out a delegate pre-file form, which by the way we brought today. And you will fill that out. To complete that, it has to be turned in before Thursday to vote for Laura Hughes. And there is no charge for that. You just have to pre-register on this form. The third election that's coming up is the state election, where Ms. Patti Lyman is running for her re-election as our RNC National Republican Committee woman. And I can tell you so much about her and what she's done, because I know all of you. It's a pleasure and it's amazing. David Caron is running for the 2nd District Chairman. Yes, David! So, again, he and Laura will be our leaders there and represent us here from Virginia Beach. And that position is the entire district. The 2nd District Chair is for the entire district. And so I can give you many accolades for David, but I want to tell you my favorite accolade of David is he had the courage to do this. Yeah. Anybody running for office, it's not easy. It's not easy because candidates get criticized. Oh, you wore the wrong shirt. Your shoes have a spot on it. You don't talk clear. Your lipstick's crooked. You didn't wear a magnet pen to the Democrat Party thing. It's like crazy town. It's all the criticism. And I want to tell you, it's overwhelming for these folks on many, many occasions. And so David has the courage to stand up to strong opposition and hold his ground up against huge, huge issues. And we thank you for your courage. That election is April 27th. There is no cost involved. You do need to pre-file. Patti's re-election is the state in Hampton, and that's June 1st. And there is a $45 fee for that. The other candidate that's here that I want to tell you is so important. And this candidate transcends party lines. I have known him for probably close to 14 years now. He is the epitome of what integrity looks like. He is the epitome of what the Republican creed stands for. And it is absolutely just a thrill for me to support candidates like this because I don't have to. None of us do. And I do work in the private sector, and of course I do work on campaigns, so, yes, transparency. And I've helped John Moss in many occasions, and that hopefully will be our next hearing opportunity. Thank you. And I want to tell you, I challenge anybody. You find your best person, but I challenge anybody to match John Moss in the numbers. He will break it down for you and tell you exactly where that last cent went, and it went to special interest. So I challenge anybody to beat numbers better than John Moss. We would be privileged, and it would be an honor to have you be our mayor. So thank you for being here. November. That election is November, and it can't be more important to get Donald Trump elected. Okay, without further ado, I want to introduce you to someone that is just not a politically machine, not someone that, again, I can't describe all the times I have seen my friend stand up to opposition. So I went with her, not to this last RNC meeting, but I went to the one before that, and I sat in the Resolutions Committee. And, you know, they get snarky. Go figure. These Republicans that we believe are neocons, they actually get a little snarky with our Patti Lyman. And I'm going to tell you, you have a machine right there. Nobody is going to beat her down. Nobody's going to tell her when she can and cannot speak. I've seen her do it. So, just a little bit, because she won't tell you herself, but she used to work for Jay Sekulow, and she is a pro-life attorney, and she defended peaceful protesters in front of abortion clinics. That's she's done for her entire life. She also is an immigration lawyer. And so she's currently practicing immigration law, and she's helped persecuted Christians flee Islamic countries. And I think that's amazing. To know her resume is just out of, like, when I first started helping her, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I was like, you did this? I had no idea. And so this is the kind of person, and she is currently helping, and I don't know who they are, but Sudanian women who are fleeing the Sudan from genital mutilation. This is the kind of person that you have as your RNC National Republican Committee woman, and she's going to tell you tons more of what she's done, but I can't be more prouder of her, and I couldn't be more proud to call her my friend, Patti Lyman.
nagging me about, you got to do this and you got to do that and everything. And, you know, it kind of cramped my style because, I mean, I'm pretty smart. I thought I knew what I was doing. No, I did not know what I was doing. But when I started doing what Waverly told me to do, everything went great, didn't it, Wave?
Yeah, it did.
It was like an Otis elevator, just smooth as can be. And in fact, last time, she you know, it's a statewide campaign. There's 126 different units. And a week before my election in 2020, not only did Waverly tell me I was going to win, because I didn't believe her, but not only did she tell me I was going to win, she told me where I was going to win. And she was right on top of it, and we're right in the midst of it right now, and we're here tonight because you guys have your deadline coming up to do your delegate pre-files for the state convention, which will be on June the 1st. And it's not that hard of a sell here because y'all aren't that far from Hampton. Me getting my supporters that are up in the Shenandoah Valley and various other places, we don't have buses for them. We're bringing them on buses. But you guys are close by here, and I hope that you will sign up to vote at that convention. We only do it every 4 years. And this is your one opportunity to choose the people who will lead your party here in Virginia for the next 4 years. Our chairman, Rich Anderson, is unopposed. He's going to be chairman again. So the two main elections are me and Morton Blackwell, who's been our national committeeman since 1988. He is, without question, the most respected member of the RNC. All 168 members. There is no one more respected than Morton Blackwell, and we are very, very lucky. It's a feather in our cap that he represents us. You know, I get to meet people from all over the country at the RNC, and they love their states, and they're proud of their states. They're proud to represent them. And And I'm sure they're nice places, but none of them are Virginia. And everyone in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about. Virginia is a state and commonwealth like no other place. When I tell people that I'm from Virginia, I see a flicker of recognition, of respect for what Virginia is, for what we have been, and for what we will be. There is no other state like Virginia. When I ran for National Committeewoman 4 years ago, I heard the leaders of our party and various little muckety-mucks running around the state. You know exactly the kind of people I'm talking about. And all they could do is run around and say how Virginia's a blue state now. And that's it. We're a blue state. Well, at the same time they were saying that, I was seeing 30 to 50,000 people showing up in Richmond to fight for our gun rights. Doesn't happen in a blue state. We were seeing town halls and supervisor meetings all over the state with hundreds of people, sometimes over 1,000, showing up and saying, we want our town to be a Second Amendment sanctuary. This was in early 2020, right after the Democrats took over in 2019. And you remember what happened then. Let me tell you something about Democrats. When they get power, they use it, and they use it fast. And they use it for the most evil thing they can think of. So when we let them win in 2019, because you remember early 2019, we had the 3 top Democrats in the state embroiled in horrendous scandal. Northam, Caron, Fairfax. I mean, it was worse than Peyton Place, okay? It was bad. And at that time, I believe we as Virginians should have taken a look at our own flag, our own state flag, put our boot on the neck of all 3 of them and not let up until somebody had to resign. Yes. That's what we should have done. But our leadership and our state party did not want to do that. In the General Assembly, they did not want to do that. They said it wasn't polling well. Oh. Therefore, they didn't fight back. The Democrats smelled the blood in the water in the spring of 2019, and they went in for the kill that November. That's when everybody woke up and said, y'all, they really are going to take away our guns. We better do something. So I'm looking around at that. I'm looking at the backlash and saying, wait a minute, state? No, the real Virginia is red. And that became the slogan of my campaign in 2020. At that time, we were on the front lines of fighting so many fights. And no, please excuse my back. I'm sorry about that. We were on the front lines of so many important fights. And the things that we were fighting here, that was going across the country with this gun control stuff, with various other things. And of course, we were in the middle of these tyrannical COVID restrictions. I mean, it was, I look back, and I'm not really so amazed at the restrictions. What I'm amazed at is how much we submitted to. We will never, ever submit like that again. We were on the front lines of a lot of things. And I said, you know what? I'm tired. I don't think Virginia should be the stepchild of our national party. Now, it was no surprise that we were, because our own leaders kept running around calling us a blue state. Okay, who wants to hop on that bandwagon? But I knew that they were wrong. The worst of them actually said, as long as Donald Trump is president, Republicans can never win in Virginia. Oh. You know what I said to that? Any Republican who cannot or will not defend President Trump's magnificent 4 years in office, the problem is with that Republican, not President Trump. In 2020, it was time for Virginia. We were on the front lines of so many battles. And you know what? What happens in Virginia affects the rest of the country. It always has for about 350 years. It started right around here, didn't it, y'all? And I said it was time for us to take our rightful place in our national party as the critical, pivotal, red-purple state that we are. We deserve adequate money. We deserve support. We deserve resources. In fact, maybe we can get some of our friends from other parts of the country to rally around us here in Virginia, since what we do here affects them. Now, when I said that, and I said it all over the state, I wanted it to happen. I really wanted it to happen. But I didn't know it was going to happen. But every bit of it happened in 2021. In 2021, here in Virginia, you remember what it was like after the 2020 November elections. That was a dark time. Thank you so much, Waverly. That was a dark time for us, y'all. And we had elections coming up here. And the national party desperately needed a win. Our nation needed a win. The Republicans nationwide, patriots nationwide needed a win. We got an amazing, obscene amount of money from the national party. We got resources. We even had friends at the RNC sending teams of people here to knock doors and calling into Virginia. It is kind of good when you're the only state in the country almost that has an election. But it was all hands on deck. And you know what? We didn't get that money from the RNC and the Republican Governors Association. We didn't get that money because Ronna McDaniel's a nice person and so we owe her a favor, or because, whatever. No. We got that money because the nation and the party desperately needed a win, and Virginia delivered. We delivered big. Big in 2021. The ripple effect from that was tremendous. The encouragement to the rest of the party and to other states from that was tremendous. You have no idea the reception that we got at the RNC. That following Christmas, I went to the Maryland National Committee woman was having a Christmas party. I bought a couple tickets. My husband and I went to it. And we were late, as usual, so we kind of snuck in. And the co-chair of the party, Tommy Hicks, is in the living room talking to about 100 people. And we kind of snuck in, but my friend, the committee woman, said, "Oh, there's my friend Patti Lyman. She's the RNC National Committee woman from Virginia." She couldn't even get the name Virginia out before the room erupted in hollers and hoots and applause. And it was jubilant. And it was not about me. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with what Virginia had meant to the rest of the country that year. And I got to thank a lot of the people in that room that had come over and knocked doors for us from Maryland. So that was a very key year. And I will tell you that Virginia did take our rightful place in our national party, and we continue to hold that place in the party and to have influence in the party. Now, we had multiple election cycles that did not go well nationally for the Republican Party, and we can talk about that. But we realized it became very obvious that there were big problems at the Republican National Committee. And those problems started right at the top. One of my first encounters came at the end of 2021 when, out of the blue, it was announced that the Republican National Committee was going to enter into a partnership, a merger, with the log cabin Republicans, and there was going to be a new entity called RNC Pride. Well, and by the way, I'm all for, I want everyone voting Republican. Everyone should vote Republican because our policies work for everybody. I want everyone to do that. But the Republican National Committee, we cannot partner with outside political entities, and we cannot enter into partnerships with entities that do not support the agenda of the Republican Party, and there were some very significant things that that organization did not support. Again, I am for outreach to everyone, but betrayal of nobody.
Exactly.
And that whole thing, what I have to tell you, and the reason I'm telling you this, that whole thing was done completely in secret. It was announced at a big event, and there was an assumption that once it was announced, you know, it's easier to get forgiveness and permission. There was an assumption by our chair that once it was announced that nobody would say anything, and we just nod and be polite and act like everything was okay. They assumed wrong.
Right.
I was inundated with because what was clearly going on was a major move away from our marriage plan and our Republican platform. And by the way, this year I'm going to be a delegate at the convention, and God willing, and the creek don't rise, I am running to be one of our 2 representatives from Virginia on that platform committee. And I am not going to sell out the things that we believe in. But anyway, so I got all these hundreds of emails, and we were going to put out a statement, like the Southern region, we were going to put out a statement against what the chair had done, and that this was a big problem for our base of our party. And then there was all this pressure put down, oh, we can't do that, and Ronna had people pressuring, so they wouldn't put the statement out. They said, and I was like a double-A voter with this thing, and they said, okay, Patti, we'll deal with it at the winter meeting. We'll do a resolution or something. Well, I happen to have been elected to the Resolutions Committee, the RNC. I'm one of 8 people that gets a vote on what policy statements and resolutions go to the floor of the RNC and which ones go. And it was by the grace of God I was elected, one of 8 people that does that. So it comes time to do that, and people are saying, no, we need to leave that alone, we need to leave that alone. No. Well, we put together a resolution stating how damaging that initiative had been, how wrong it was to do it in secret, how upset our base was about it, and it got kind of watered down. It was done very diplomatically, but the bottom line was we shouldn't have done it. It was wrong. Our base doesn't like it. We're going to stand for our principles, and we will not desert the principles of this party. And we had the chair agree to that. There wasn't a lot of publicity around that particular resolution at the time we did it, but that's okay, because it had an audience of 1, and that was Chairwoman McDaniel. And there is no RNC pride entity at the RNC. Woo! At that same meeting, I introduced another resolution. Y'all remember that January 6th committee?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And by the way, every day that goes by, we are finding out how much more rotten every aspect of that was than even we thought. And we're not done yet. We're going to learn more, I'm quite sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we had 2 Republicans sitting on that committee, people with R's behind their names, and they were leading the way in violating the rights of U.S. citizens, in depriving people of due process, in destroying evidence, in manipulating evidence, in tampering with evidence, in lying to the American people, in doing every un-American, we're doing that as Republicans on that committee. They essentially became spokespeople for Nancy Pelosi. You know, if you're coaching a football team, and during the first half of the game, a couple of your guys keep giving the ball to the other team, first of all, you're not going to play them in the second half. Secondly, you're not going to let them sit in the locker room talk during halftime either. And we could not any longer have Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger representing the Republican Party on that committee, nor could we have them sitting in the Republican conference in the House when they have discussions about taking back the House, because they no longer supported Republicans taking back the House. They no longer supported any of the things that we stood for. So, I did the first draft of the resolution that ultimately kicked Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger out the party. It was really wild. It was a crazy time. People's hair was catching on fire. But you know, we knew that we were right. We knew that we had to do this, and it ended up getting kind of watered down. It turned into a censure. But the second part of it said, and they can no longer be supported by Republicans as Republicans. And people were all upset. The Congress, the usual suspects were just shocked that we had done this. But you know what happened 1 week later, y'all? 1 week later, then Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Conference Chair Elise Stefanik, both of them withdrew their endorsements of Liz Cheney's re-election, and they endorsed Wyoming Committeewoman Harriet Hageman, who's now Congresswoman Hageman. What I learned from that is that the tail can wag the dog. Yeah. And we have been able to move forward on so many initiatives at the RNC now. After that first, after that resolution and the resolution kind of slapping Ron on the wrist, she didn't talk to me for a few meetings after that. But you know what? Maybe she just didn't see me. I mean, I'm easy to miss. So maybe she didn't see me. But that's okay. Because the people who saw me were the grassroots Republicans who knew that I heard them and knew that me and my colleagues at the RNC, I got a posse of awesome conservatives at the RNC. We're not the majority, but we don't have to be. Remember, the tail can wag the dog. Yes. The tail can wag the dog. Our most recent accomplishment, for the last 2.5 years, y'all, I have been at the center of efforts to get rid of Ronna McDaniel as the chairwoman of the RNC. Thank you. I've been at the center of that. I've got the wounds in my back to prove it, by the way. But last year, we fought really hard last year to get new leadership. We supported Harvey Dillon, who's become she's a spectacular woman, who's become a very good friend of mine. We did everything we could to support her, but frankly, the chairwoman used RNC resources and privileges and perks and various other things, and was able to get all the votes that she needed. So, and here was the real disaster. The last time we had this RNC chairperson election, it had never before been anything people paid attention to. Well, this time, it became a populist event. Scott Preston was publicizing it. Everyone was. So everybody was watching this. 100% of grassroots Republicans wanted Ronna McDaniel gone. Yes. 100%. Okay? So what happens? 2/3 of my colleagues give the middle finger to the grassroots Republicans who elected them. And guess what happened then? Y'all are smart. You are quick studies. You shut your pocketbooks. Okay? And that is why the RNC literally was broke by the end of the year, this year. And we knew it was going to happen. You can't do that to your grassroots. We need you to win elections. Yes. And you can't disregard people like that. Richard Nixon said years ago, he said, you can't win an election with only your base. But you sure can win it without your base. You sure can. So it was a rough year, but we worked nonstop to do everything that we could to get Ronna McDaniel removed. And what we had to wait for was for my favorite president to make the decision to do that. And he did. And a couple of weeks ago, I was summoned down to Houston to vote Ronna out and vote new leadership in at the RNC. more than worth it. I'm very excited about the new beginning that we have. Michael Watley, I've known him several years. He's the North Carolina chair, and he does care a great deal about election integrity. The president said the two priorities of the RNC are get out the vote and protect the ballot. President Trump said to Mike, I'll get the vote out, Mike. You protect the ballot. Yeah. And that's how we're doing it at the RNC. A bunch of people who were deadwood, frankly, have been fired like the first couple of days. How great is that? And how great is that? Laura Trump is so smart, is so competent. She's a great communicator. I don't think it's just going to be a traditional role where all she does is raise money. That's what co-chairs generally do. But I think at this moment in time for our country, we are going to have each person doing whatever they're the best at in the moment. I don't care who raises the money, as long as we raise the money. I care how it gets spent. And it is going to be spent to elect our president next November. That is job one. Because if that happens, everybody's down ballot is going to benefit from that. But Laura Trump is an extremely responsible woman. She's going to watch every penny. And the campaign manager, one of the campaign managers, Chris Lusabita, who I've certainly not been on the same side on every political battle in Virginia, probably on none. But every report is that he's doing a spectacular job for President Trump's campaign. He is running the day-to-day at the RNC. There is a new sheriff in town. They're going to run a tight ship. I'm very impressed with some of the lawyers that they're bringing on right now. And I feel like we have a new beginning there. I encourage everyone here to give this team a chance. I said I'm going to keep an open mind until I have a reason to close it. And you know what? We can't close our minds, y'all. We only have 8 months, 8.5 months. So we need to get behind them. I have full confidence that any money donated to RNC is going to be properly spent because we exposed the mess that was going on before. And I don't think they're going to take any chances pulling that kind of nonsense again. Yes. In fact, it's so funny. So Ronnie gets up and we're at the meeting after she's, being voted out or resigning, whatever. And she gets up and she says, and you have to know that we have record-breaking amounts of fundraising in January and February. It was so great. And I think we didn't, maybe she didn't get enough reaction from us or something. So she repeats it. Okay? Well, what she doesn't say is that happened when it was announced in the booth. That's when the money started coming in. But you know what? I don't care why it comes in. I'm just happy it comes in. You want it, bye. It's a new day.
Amen.
When I ran for committee woman, I said I will go and speak at any auxiliary or unit meeting that invites me to come. I don't care if it's on the Tennessee border. I will get myself over there at my expense because at the unit level, at the auxiliary level, that is where we win and lose elections.
That's right.
Y'all. That's where we win and lose elections. And that's where we find our candidates. And that's why when I'm here tonight and I see someone the caliber of Laura Hughes ready to run the Virginia Beach Republican Committee, which is such a significant committee in this state. That is where we win and lose elections. And we need somebody in that job who is accountable. Yes. And that is Laura Hughes. That is Laura Hughes. I've been on the State Central Committee for several years. I don't always call it State Central Committee. A lot of times I just call it Fight Club. And if any of you watched us in 2021 on streaming on Facebook, God, that was a vacant moment there. Streaming on Facebook, it was just a nightmare. It was crazy. But I've been on State Central several years, and I just have to say that the current chair, who I do hope that Laura will replace, the current chair, I've not seen that person exhibit any leadership whatsoever at State Central Committee. That person simply votes along with the cabal. They're all told how to vote, and they don't even a lot of times even know why they're voting that way. Let me give you an example. At RNC, we passed a unanimous resolution at the RNC opposing ranked choice voting. Okay, and we oppose it because it is a rigging system. It's rigged choice voting, designed to make liberal candidates win. That's what it's designed for. So we did a resolution there, and I carried that resolution to the Republican Party of Virginia, to our State Central Committee, to say, let's do this in Virginia. Let's at least make a statement that we don't favor this, and this is why. Okay? You're not going to believe this. I think most people don't really, on the State Central, don't really care for ranked choice voting. But when the other side was whipping votes against my resolution, literally they were saying, you have to vote against this because we can't let Patti have a win. I'm not making this up, okay? That's how tribal it becomes on State Central Committee. That they're voting based on what gang they're in instead of what's right for the state. And that's why Laura needs not only to be the chairman of the Virginia Beach Republican Committee, but she needs to be on State Central Committee.
Yeah!
Because I haven't seen anything good out of the 2nd District delegation on State Central either, because they are all dominated and controlled and run by the district chair. And who I have, a few little run-ins with, but that's not unusual. It's not unusual for me, and I think it's not unusual for him either, to tell you the truth. They just are in lockstep. And anyone that steps out of line has hell to pay. That is no way to live in a free society. You have someone here like David Caron, who I've known for years, who's an honest man, who is in no way conniving or scheming for himself, not bullying people, not doing any of that. He loves his state, he loves his family, he loves his country. He's ready to serve the people of the 2nd District. The people of the 2nd District have not been served for a very long time. We need every single person in this room to sign up as a delegate to the 2nd District Convention. There's not any fee involved. And but you got to be signed up by the deadline so you can be there and vote. You know what, y'all? It is about we the people. It's about us showing up and showing ourselves and being present and saying, we're here. We're America. And I'm sure y'all in this room have noticed it. Have you noticed that we have a new Republican Party? Yeah. We have a brand new Republican Party. And I just mean since the advent of Trump, that was a big change. I mean since the screw job in 2020, when all of us saw that election stolen, and people that had not been paying attention before, real Americans that were just going about their business, they saw what happened and they said, no, I'm getting involved. We had the precinct committeeman project. We had people get involved coming out of the woodwork. We are a brand new Republican Party. The core of it is right here, right here. You guys remember, the tail can wag the dog. And I have talked way too long. I'm sorry I get revved up. But I am so proud to be here and encouraging you to come out and vote for these people. You're so fortunate that people of this caliber are willing to come forward and put themselves up for this. It's not an easy task. And John Moss, you have got to be running this city. You've got to. People are depending on us. People that don't know they're depending on us are depending on us. As pathetic as we can be, the Republican Party is the only thing standing in between our friends and neighbors and the Democrats who are hell-bent on destroying their lives. We have to be the best that we can be. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, y'all, but in the end, and I think you all probably share this with me, I just want to be found faithful. Thank you.
I told you she was good. I told you she was good. So she's not going to wait until the last person is calling her and asking her questions. So she's going to be here to answer more questions. But with that, I want to bring Laura Hughes up, who needs no introduction after what Patti just did. Laura Hughes, come on. Come on there. Come on there, Laura Hughes. And then we'll do David Caron.
Excuse me.
Tell us how to win the beach. Save the beach.
We win the beach when all of y'all come out today. So we've got some issues going on in Virginia Beach. Even that may be an understatement. We're not winning elections in Virginia Beach. We have a Democrat majority on our school board. We have a Democrat majority on our city council. And when we run for congressional offices, we lost the congressional seat in 2018. We lost it in 2020. And in 2022 we won, but Virginia Beach didn't pull its weight. Jen Kagan did not win Virginia Beach. The Republicans took that seat because Chesapeake brought those votes. Virginia Beach did not.
You're right.
We need to work together. We need people to want to work together. This past election cycle, we had people appointed to be our precinct organization team. 3 weeks before the election, our polls were less than 30% male. So Senator DeSteff called in Elaine Feckety. In 3 weeks, she got us up over 90%. And I think it's great we were over 90%. But I don't think we should be playing chicken like that. It should not take us that long to get our polls down. People don't want to work together. They're tired of being excluded in meetings. We have all these committees, and we have 5 or 10 people on every committee. People try to speak at meetings, and if you're in that little inner circle, we have people that practically take over the meeting, stand there for 30 minutes talking and engaging with people, which is in no way reflective of Robert's rules, which is how our meetings are supposed to run. However, when somebody who's not in that inner circle wants to speak, either we're out of time, or the chair becomes conversational with them to let them know why they're wrong, which is also completely inappropriate. And what I would say to you is the party is not the board, and the party is not the chair. The party is the body. We need to give the power back to the body. That's who we serve. I decided a while back to run for chair because I saw some of the things that were going on. I watched them in 2020 run a dirty election when somebody ran. And I watched them in 2022 run a dirty election when somebody ran. And I started doing some little experiments. For instance, when we appealed the results of the 2022 election for chair, one of the questions asked was, does everybody have equal access to the roster? And the answer was yes. So at the beginning of January 2023, I sent an email to the chair asking for a roster. I got it in July of 2023. There is no equal access. We have the chair, the current incumbent chair's people calling around asking people to vote. When I ask for a roster, I don't get phone numbers. I get street addresses. So I can walk up to their houses, or I just don't have that access. So currently, the incumbent that I'm running against did not file to run on time. He missed the filing deadline, and we had people at the office cover it up, which creates a huge problem. Republicans jump up and down and scream about election integrity all the time. When we run dirty internal elections, we lose all credibility. That is a problem. There's been a lot of he said, she said going on, and the person working in the office has a lot of stories about how she was bullied. And you can take my word for it, or you can take her word for it. Or the audio tape of the entire interaction is on Facebook. So you feel free to listen to yourself in the file. I also remember when Patti Lyman put forth that resolution to go to State Central. And this is one of the reasons I decided to run. We had someone in our party write a resolution just for our party to vote on, just our unit in Virginia Beach. 3 months in a row, it was removed from our agenda, a unilateral decision of the current chair. And he stood up in front of the body and said, we need to wait for guidance from the state party to see what we want to do. No, sir, we don't.
No, we don't.
The units, the specific unit is beholden to the citizens, and the district is beholden to the city units, and the state is beholden to the districts, and the national party is beholden to the states. That's where your accountability is. We don't work for them. They work for us. We never did vote on that resolution. It never got put back onto our agenda. And then I sent an email to our second district chair, and also our unit chair, who now sits in the seat that I would like to take. And I emailed them and asked them, you guys voted against the ranked choice voting resolution at state. How did you do your due diligence to find out you were representing the people that you were supposed to represent? The current chair has still not responded to that email, and I believe that vote was in January or February.
It was last fall. I think.
It was last fall. Okay, so it's been more than 6 months.
Wow.
I've still not received a response from the unit chair who sits in that district seat. The second district chair did respond to me to tell me that I had my beliefs skewed, that the upper people are not beholden to the people down below. I didn't understand the structure. It was completely wrong, but it was just my opinion. And also, he just knows what's best for us. It's not up to me to decide.
The dictator.
And so one of the problems that we have here is that we have too many people running for offices who want to be leaders, and not enough people running for offices who want to be representatives. We need people at every level of government, whether it's within the party or public offices, who are running to represent you. And I promise you that if I win that seat, I'm going to have a website set up with the agenda on it. And I want you to go to that and tell me how you feel about these issues, how you would like me to vote. And I have a track record for doing that. I spent 4 years on the Virginia Beach School Board, and there were many policies that came before us that maybe I didn't know some of the subtle nuances. For instance, we were going to change something that would have had to do with middle school schedules. And so I put something out there. I said, I'm not a middle school teacher. Make me understand it. And they did. I had a lot of middle school teachers call me. I had about a week where I was on the phone till midnight just about every night. But you know what? They made me understand it. They made me understand so thoroughly why this was a bad policy, that I was the first speaker on the dais that night, and it was unanimously rejected because I listened to the people that it would affect. It wasn't about me, it was about them. So, all said, I would love for you to come out and support me. This coming up Saturday, the chair race is Central Library from 12 to 3. Anyone who is a registered voter who lives in Virginia Beach can vote. The second district race, which would be for me, and David will be up here in a moment, me and David Caron, that will be April 27th. It will be at Wave Church on Great Neck Road. Check-in registration is from 10 a.m. to noon, and voting will be from noon to 3. You do have to pre-file, and we have pre-file forms here. And again, to vote at state, that is on June 1st, and that is at the Hampton Convention Center. And you will need to pre-file for that as well, and that is the exact same sheet I have over there. It's one-stop shopping. You can sign up for all of it right together. And thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it.
Wow. Kids, we
Good
got
job.
a lineup here in Virginia Beach. can save the beach, and we can save the 2nd District.
Yes.
These are outstanding candidates. I just want to do a quick shout out for Donato's Pizza, where we are. You know, it takes a lot for a restaurant to jump out in the middle of the political sphere, and I want to thank them so much for doing this. I want to thank the staff that's back there, because we've been hustling for them. They've been hustling for us. So I want to thank the staff for being amazing and just helping everyone here. David Caron is challenging the current 2nd District Chair, Dennis Free, and he has my full support. Thank you, David.
All right, so basically I want to say that I want to echo everything that Patti and Laura have already said about Dennis and about the way things are being ran right now in the 2nd District in Virginia Beach. I moved here 3 years ago from Central Virginia, and I helped get Bob Good elected in the 5th District. And at the time, we had a congressman in General Riggleman, and he was a part of the January 6th committee, as Patti had talked about earlier. And so it was apparent to me that we had to get him out of there and get him replaced. And otherwise, we had good leadership throughout the district, and everything was going smoothly. But we just had that guy there who, couldn't support Trump, couldn't support what the grassroots wanted, and marched the beat of his own drum. And so we got Bob in there, and things were going good. And I looked down here at Virginia Beach and in the 2nd District, and things didn't look so hot. And so. It wasn't the only reason I came down here, but I will say that it certainly played a part, that I was kind of a calling, I would say, from God, and to come down here and campaign for Jerome Bell. And we weren't successful in that, but, I do think that we affected a lot, and he came out there and did his best, and unfortunately we had gotten Jen there at the time, and she has done, a good job for the most part, but there are some things here that obviously we don't agree with 100% with her all the time. And so I think if I were to be the 2nd District Chair, that I would like to, help influence her in a more conservative direction, and to follow what the grassroots want, and to go there to Congress and support Trump 100%. I see that recently she came out with a statement supporting Trump, and so that was good. And so, we're going to continue to move forward in a positive direction. And at the 2nd District level, as it was said earlier tonight, that Dennis, he's been doing a lot of things that aren't 100% above board here. He's definitely got his thumb on the scale with everything throughout the district, and I think that we need to change things. We need somebody in charge of the district that isn't going to be looking over everybody's shoulder all the time, making sure that they do what he wants, or else he's going to be ready to throw him out of there like he did in Suffolk. It's just unbelievable. So I would like to I'd like to see some change in that regard. And when I'm in there, when I go to State Central, I'll help to be an ally of Patti and Morton and everybody up there that is fighting the good fight for the grassroots. And like Patti said, I watched years ago with the State Central, and it was just a total mess. And I've been there before, I know how things operate up there, and we definitely need new blood up there from the 2nd District that isn't going to continue on the path that we've had for the last, Dennis has been in there now for 8 years, so I think it's time for him to go. So. And with that, I'm going to turn back over to Waverly, and thank you everybody.
Chairman David.
I told you, the man's got real steel nerves to do this and run up against the machine. And before I introduce our last speaker, I just want to acknowledge Eddie Garcia's here, who's running for Senate. I didn't know he was coming or I'd have given him a time slot. He just popped in. So I want to say thank you, because I don't see any of the other candidates running for Senate in here. And this is a hot room. Let me tell you, there's well over 50 patriots that attended this event today. Over 50 patriots. I'd say closer to 75, because I've seen people kind of coming and going from the event. And this is where you need to be, because this is outside the party apparatus. This is outside the status quo. This is where the people and the rubber meets the road. You know what I mean? This is where you guys are. So thank you. Thank you. So our last speaker, again, I don't know that I would do this introduction any justice, but if there's anybody with more integrity than John Moss, I'd love to meet him. John Moss from Mayoral, Virginia.
Well, I think after that I should just sit down and say thank you. But really, this campaign and all these candidates are all about what? Restoring the power to the people who pay the bills, who want their freedom back, who want free enterprise back, and really want to be able to make sure that their children can own a home and they aren't taxed out of the home that they lived in. This is all about a campaign at all levels of restoring the middle class in this country. We are in trouble. I think we all know it. We don't have leadership. We have self-servants, not public servants, and that needs to change. And that's what our campaign is all about. I don't really have an agenda other than to serve and to enable the people to live the life that they choose and be able to afford the liberty they want to exercise. That really is my message. It is just about the people. And this job of council member and mayor is a homework job. You know, you don't want people out there buying votes with your money. That's not me. You don't want people to spend all their time, I call it happy talk. You want people to spend the time like you would want your financial manager reading the budget and being a firewall between the people who want to spend the money and the people who actually earn it. And that is the job I will do. I don't want to talk about other people, but that's always more fun, right? You're always taught not to talk about yourself. That's always what I told you, right? Nobody but yourself, you're doing good work, people recognize it. Laura will be an excellent chair. I'm telling you, she will be. Dave reminds me a lot of Senator Mitchell. Quiet, soft-spoken, but when he's doing his work, very, very effective. That's the kind of guy that Dave is, and that's what we need. Someone who speaks softly and listens more than he talks. That's the guy we need. After Patti gave that great, there's a powerhouse. She should be the next RNC chair, right? And I will follow up already. I have seen Caron Garcia, man, he's been all over the state. Matter of fact, he might be giving you a run for your money, Patti, maybe. But also, we have a candidate from a neighboring city, a long-term friend of mine and supporter, Mr. Eric Ray, running for city council. I just want to thank you all for coming. Waverly, thank you for all those words. My wife will make me humble when I get back in the car. Anyway, thank you all for being here.
If you have not filled out the delegate pre-file yet and you want to participate and vote, if you live in the city of Virginia Beach, Laura and David have those forms. Please, please don't leave until you fill out that form. That means you too. Okay, good job. And you too. Okay, we're in this room. Okay, just to make sure I have people covered. Everybody else I did probably. So the first, and sign Mr. Garcia's petition so he can get on the ballot. I can't hear you.
For pre-file.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were holding up his petition. I'm sorry. I'm old, I don't have glasses on. Okay, so the petitions are the delegate pre-files are right back there with Laura and Andy, thank you. Or not Andy, but Eddie Garcia. Okay, we just met tonight.
You want to give him?
Yeah, he is. Okay, good. So I'm
give him
glad
a
you did that
minute?
endorsement.
You want to give him a minute? 1 minute?
Yeah,
Okay.
So I want to, again, there's the delegate pre-files. Don't forget them. The election for the chair of Virginia Beach, anybody that's a registered voter can vote. It's this Saturday, 12 to 3 at the Central Library in Virginia Beach. Bring your photo ID or they ain't letting you vote. Number 2, filling out that delegate pre-file form for the district convention. That is April 27th. Don't forget April 27th. And you can't play if you don't fill out the phone. So don't forget to do that. And that also is the same form for the state convention to elect Patti. I want to take a quick, less than a minute, and just explain to you my personal experience in the Virginia Beach Republican City Committee meetings. Yeah, it's that bad. So of recent, I'm very familiar with this process. Many of you guys already know I've done this for a long time. And I turned in my delegate pre-file. And over the years, I know I got to make a copy of it. I know I got to record what I do. And I know I need to ask for a receipt. Why? Because delegate pre-files end up getting missing somehow. Yours isn't there. We've already, Laura will attest, there was already somebody that had that same problem. But when I went in, the woman that greeted me was very nice. I want to say she was very nice. But she also told me she was instructed to call Dennis Free and give him everyone's name that signs up to be a delegate at the 2nd District Convention. She said she was instructed to do that. Now imagine if you go to vote and they already sum you up for how you're going to vote. They call Joe Biden and say, hey, Joe, we got another point in here. Is this your voter or not? Who would do that? Right? So that's what happened. And I have it all on record, by the way, which I've given the recording to Laura, and she has heard it. And the recording was them giving Dennis Free my information, and Dennis Free quickly announced, by the way, she had him on speakerphone. You can clearly hear Dennis on the phone. And he said, oh, well, that's not one of mine. He said that. It's right on there. So who goes? David Caron, did you get a phone call to know all the delegates that signed up beforehand? Laura, did you get a notice? So none of the other candidates are being told when somebody drops in their delegate pre-file, but Dennis Free is. And I will tell you, from the people of Suffolk that have been damaged and the party brand has been killed from the people of Suffolk, here's the other thing. That new chairman that they put in place, he gave Dennis Free the list and tried to tell another candidate, oh, well, Dennis Free has to certify the list from Suffolk. And that's not how this works either. And they were already calling the delegate list from Suffolk, and none of the other candidates had that list, and they did nothing but trash Laura Hughes and trash David Caron. I got the phone calls. So I'm telling you, this is how corrupt the Republican Party has become. And these people running are all the difference that this party needs to restore its faith and its brand.
Amen.
And by the way, recordings don't lie. It's that important that you send your friends. It's that important that these people are held accountable to the process that they're running. Because if we can't hold an integrity, fair, and balanced election here within the party, I think it kind of is like a hypocrite or ironic that we want to call the Democrats out on that. Who gets emails from people saying we need to have a fair election, and as Republicans, we are the only ones that have fair elections? Well, I can't even form a sentence with that. It is just a sham that we have allowed our party to be this corrupt. And so I want to encourage you again, make sure you see our candidates, get those delegate pre-files turned in, and let them give you any questions that you need answers. And they're not leaving until the last person leaves, so they don't have to kick us out. So again, Thank you all. Thank you to Nada's Pizza. They are awesome here. Thank you all of you patriots for coming. You're all amazing. Thank you for coming. Have a great night. Hey, when you go, show up early. Once you register for that day, show up early, bring your ID.
There she is right here. Okay, this is Robert Dean signing off. I'm going to take a picture of Diana Howard eating something. I don't know what it is. So that's it. This is what's going on here. And sign off. But a great